Hey everyone, this is ArtsyWisdom. My name is Diane. Thank you for coming by. I'm back at home. It was a great visit. It was freezing cold. Lots of rain, cold rain. I think I'd rather have snow than freezing rain when it's 35 degrees. Very, and wind sideways. Not great. Yeah. Anyway, just a lot happening. And I just wanted to jump on here and go through a few things. I did meditate last night on musk rat, the muskmelon, who is doing somebody's dirty work, and also the king who believes he runs everything too. And so I am going to talk about them. And I'm decided because I don't want to be flagged, or I don't want to have anything in the future affect how I reach you. I decided to create a scenario where the people, the leaders, I imagine them as different people. Back during the Reformation, King Francis of France, I think it was, King Henry, they were all at odds, and they did a lot of wiping out of people who didn't believe their way. So it kind of reminded me of this situation. So King Francis is the orange devil, and Elon, the muskrat, might be similar to King Henry, who decided to change all the rules, eliminate the church, eliminate everything. Very similar to me, to my mind. Excuse me. So from now on, I'm going to use those. Hopefully they don't watch this and get it figured out. Anyway, and I think they're going to have a big party and invite everybody that they know, all the princes and all the wealthy knights and courtiers will come and be with them and help them devise their strategies for conquering this and that. But for today, I'm going to look into King Francis, what he's thinking about turning that Middle Eastern area next to Israel, the Gaza, how that's going to go. He just announced yesterday, because he's king, he wants to take it over, and he wants to put in lovely, beautiful, gorgeous condos, strip malls, make it all about money and greed. And in the past, the leader of the Israelites, or the Hebrew group, and I might have that wrong, so forgive me if I do, but Netanyahu, I haven't come up with a name. He's a melting ice cream cone. He's very melty. I don't see him lasting the year, but he has always wanted to strip that land next to the sea and take it. So King Francis is helping him do that. He is going to cooperate, and they've been talking for a very long time. And so I think they've had this plan in the works. If King Francis should retain his throne. So I know that's happening. So I looked into that. I also looked into his energies. When I can get into a person's energies, I do that. I got into King Francis, King Henry the Eighth is who I'm picturing, and it's somewhere in that vibe. I also looked into Christ again. Somebody had asked me to maybe go further into that remote viewing the energy of Jesus Christ, and I did that, and he had some interesting things to say. Big picture, doesn't seem to get into the details as much as it's more about our faith and knowing, but I'll explain those to you. I also got some imagery to share. I think, and then, so I looked into, I'm going to pull cards on if the Chancellor of the Health and Human Services will get his appointment, Mr. Kennedy, and the Chancellorette of the Intelligence will, Miss Gabbard, will get her position confirmed. I looked into that, and I wanted to tell you what I saw. Thanks again to all my new subscribers. I've got a few more, and I appreciate it. I've been so kind of overwhelmed with this news, just FYI. I've been overwhelmed with all the news, and like you guys, it's stressful, and it's scary. But I'll give you some ideas on how it relaxed me a little bit, what I saw. And I also wanted to thank you for your support. Thank you for all your lovely comments. Thank you for keep coming back and returning. It means a lot to me, and I hope I can bring something of value to you in your life. Okay, before I forget, someone asked me what was my my tarot cards that I was using the other day. This is the deck that I use. It's a lot about animals. I have a lot of earth in my chart. I have air and earth, and I'm a Leo, but it seemed to be more earthy. So animals, I gravitate towards them. I have Aquarius ascendant too, which is why I think I am an astrologer. Aquarians tend to be astrologers. Okay, so 2 different times I meditated. King Henry, I meditated on him. But last night, he was quiet. I felt nothing. It was really weird. I felt like he was sleeping. And it couldn't have been, if it was even in Washington, it would only have been like 10:30. I don't know if he's a early to bed, early to rise kind of guy. But it was quiet. I couldn't access that information. But when I did it this morning, his energy is very singular. You know, in the past, I see King Henry as very robotic. Not the real one, but this one. He's like a mostly 90% computer and 10% humanoid. But he's very analytical. He's just odd. I don't feel like I'm in an emotional person. There's no emotion whatsoever. So today I feel this very straight up and down, dark, singular, vertical line. And I feel like he's very singular, serious, and focused. And he wants to cut the government to the bone. That's the feeling I get. He wants to trim it down to the bone. He's not smiling. He's not happy. He's very serious. Now I know I know there's a lot of court cases against him because what he's doing is illegal, but he doesn't seem to be stopping anybody from doing anything. Apparently, it seems from the outside, maybe there's something happening in the background. Yeah, they're celebrating. I feel like he's doing this all by himself. Singular focus. And there's people celebrating, like that Kennedy, that senator from Louisiana, that's cuckoo bananas. Anyway, he said, yeah, let's take on the Department of Education. Ladies and gentlemen, this is going to happen. They are whittling down the government. It's happening. Now, I'm going to get to this later, but I do feel like ultimately down the road, I mean, there's a lot of waste in government. I believe that. But at the same time, they didn't do it right, obviously. They just came in with a hacksaw or a hatchet or a sword, if you're King Henry. Anyway, so it's going to be a good thing ultimately. We're going to start, they're leveling everything. The only bad part I see is the privatization where the money's going to be fed into the oligarchs and the other kingdoms that are all over the world that are going to soak up that money. So, and they're funneling it there somehow. They've got a plan. Project 2025 is being implemented. Definitely. That's not going anywhere. The Republican-led Congress is not pushing back at all. Now, I've had this feeling before where I want to speed this process up. I want the pain to get here faster. So these MAGA folks, or the people that voted for Trump, will understand how insidious and how greedy and how corrupt he is and his administration, because they, there was a video where I saw where this teacher was asked, well, she's like, I voted for Trump, but I need my job. I can't lose my job to the department. If they destroy the Department of Education, I lose my fundings. According to them, they want to send it to the states, which I'm sure they want to privatize some sort of oversight administrative part, and then the states have the money. We'll see about that. But right now, I do think they're definitely aiming for that. All right, so going back to King Henry. Okay, I just want to make sure I get this correct. I wrote down my notes because I have to remember what I'm doing. Singular focus. And yeah. So let's go to King Francis. And I saw him last night. He was awake last night. He was definitely working on stuff, and he was, I could hear him whisper, or see him whispering to people. There was a lot of like side talking, a lot of people around him, a lot of his bishops and people around him, his administrators giving him papers. But the weird thing is from his perspective, I see these people, and they have, like, when people, it's a funny thing people do where they put a face of somebody on a stick. And sometimes they do it in parties when it's all the same person. It's their birthday and they wear that. They put it in front of their face. It's a different face, not their own, but it's a printed of this. There was somebody, one person, not all of them, just one person had this big paper face in front of them. Like they were hiding. They were pretending to be this, but they're not. So there's what I interpreted that as, someone is actually tricking him as well. I don't know if that's Stephen Miller is the first thing that comes to mind. But it's somebody in his administration that is pretending to be one way. It doesn't feel like Musk. It's King Henry. It doesn't feel like King Henry. It feels like somebody sort of off the radar a little bit. 4 of Cups. And he's, okay, so normally this is like a meh kind of card, like not appreciating what you have. But I see this octopus looking at those cups, and I feel like that's the person with the face. And they're eyeing all the wealth in those cups, those gold cups. And they have some agenda. And is it to trick him? Yes, obviously. Trump feels very confident. That was the other thing I felt with him. King Francis feels very confident. I asked, will you stop? Nope. He is holding his party's nether regions hard holding, because he doesn't trust. But I did feel as if King Francis is starting to get paranoid. The dementia and the age, he's starting to see ghosts and monsters in corners, not literally, but you know what I mean. He's starting to imagine things. He's losing it. He mostly good, but it's increasing the aging process. But I also felt like he was insulated, as any king would be, insulated, and he had his people around him. And King Francis I noticed that every time we see him on television, it's getting more radical, and it can't keep this up, because at this rate, he's going to spin out of control. But I do think he's going to touch every area of our government, every area. So again, I'm going to tell you, keep your pantry full when you can, stock up on supplies, maybe even get some bottled water. just in case. And take care of yourself. Maybe join a few groups within your local area that you guys can talk about what you can do, that you trust, people that think like you. I also saw him, I forgot, side talk, this King Francis side talk. He's juggling a lot of things, but I feel like he's talking to the Tsar people, the empirical Prussians. They're in the background. I feel I see them coming to the Oval Office. They're happening. So that's happening as well. He's doing a lot of that. And, but what I did see was like, if you took a bird's eye view of a floor plan, and I see all the people around him, King Francis is in the middle and all these people are around him, kind of like that Julius Caesar imagery that I got, where they're surrounding him and really tightening in that group. So I don't know what that means. I feel like they're trying to corral him maybe because he is spiraling. Doesn't act like it, doesn't seem like it, but in my mind's eye, he is so high on power right now, so high on power, that I think he sees zero boundaries that he needs to go within, I should say. I feel I heard this too, or I saw this, he falls over in this surrounded people, like he falls over. I don't know if that's like I've seen this before, a health event, or literally someone stopping him maybe, and, he can no longer move, that kind of thing. But I saw him as the great disruptor, and he comes from a family of addiction and alcoholism, and those kind of people love drama and chaos, and they like to pit people against each other because they don't know calm. They live in that place, and he gets high from that. That's the adrenaline. Plus he takes substances of all sorts to keep him up here, So King Francis is slowly losing it. But I also heard deals. He's convincing himself. He's very confident. And I told you he's paranoid. But positive flip side is I definitely see a swelling of a pushback. And the only thing is going to be very messy. Very messy. Protests, people in the streets, in the government agencies, people all over the world, especially in Europe, in the Middle East now. They're going to push back on King Francis and his crazy talk. Now, his party, the people at his party, are not pushing back on him because they're enjoying all the flood of food and drink and all the things that they're enjoying. Not right now. But the thing was, what I saw of you is all these protests, so pushback, but I don't think, when I looked to see if his knights and his army would support him in fighting with these protests, I feel like there's going to be a rebellion there. I think there's going to be a mutiny, and he will call on his militia or the mercenaries. He's going to hire those. So in that respect, it's going to get messy. But I think out of all of this will bubble up some heroic people, agents for good, that are going to do the right thing. Unfortunately, they're going to be the scapegoat, and they're going to take it, and it feels bad. I can sense that there's going to be a few that are going to really get in trouble and maybe get hurt. So I feel like, yes, I've said this before, the kingdom and all of its different departments or areas that are needed for life in our world are going to be emptied pretty much down to the bone. The King Henry still has permission from King Francis to do what he needs to do. for now. The judges and wise ones have not committed to stopping it because they're scared. They're scared. So for now, nothing is happening. I mean, to stop this train. I'm sorry, people. But like I said, I feel like ultimately the Pluto and Aquarius is happening. It's like the floods and the fires that we've had and different earthquakes where things are knocked down to the ground. Even in the Middle East, on that area next to the water, between Israel and the water, is knocked down. Everything is being destroyed. That doesn't work. And you may think it works on some level, and maybe some of it does. So some of it may get caught up in the collateral damage kind of thing. But I think ultimately it'll be good. Ultimately, out of the ashes, the phoenix will rise. Okay. So when I looked, okay, so I asked my spirit guides, what's the future here? I mean, it's free will, because everything changes. The tariffs on the northern country, Canada, did not go through. They have a month reprieve. The tariffs on Mexico did not go through. Reprieve. And then last night they were cutting all parcels. They could not come in to the United States. The millions that come in every day from China, they were going to cut them all off. And now the Post Service says we can't do that. We're going to let them come through. It is like a soup of nonsense, because they want to feel like they're doing something. I mean, they are, but they're like taking all the parts of the machine and stirring them in a bowl and oh yeah, we made a mess. Here, let's take them all out. And now we need to put it back together differently. That's the feeling I get. But they don't know what they're doing. It's, King Francis came in as a hereditary rich person. He didn't know what he was doing. He had no serious desires to lead. He was born into that position. So he just wants to have more money in his coffers, and that's it. So does King Henry, and he wants to destroy everything so he can make it in his own vision. Okay, so this image I got, I asked my guides, and I've seen this before, this valley, and I got this beautiful feeling of a sunrise, and it was orange and glowing and lovely and confident, and confident's not the right word, positive, and it felt really good. The sun rises. But between me and the sun, there was a dark valley. It had a shadow. It was a shadow over this whole valley. But there was a river that went like this across it, zigzag. And it's kind of like night, because I saw the reflection in the water, and the river went zigzag like that. So we're in that. We've got to get through this dark shadow of the valley to the other side. We will. There are so many more good people than are bad people. So many more people with good intentions than people with bad intentions. So just remember that. We're going to get through this. Now, when I asked Christ for his viewpoint, or something to share with you guys about what he's feeling, because yesterday was so kind of powerful for me too, or the other day. When I got into the conversation with him, I'm just going to read my notes so I get it right. He says, there's always uncertainty and suffering. He said, always. That's always been since the beginning of time. There's always been uncertainty and suffering. He said, I am there now, here now, and as I was during his human existence. He said it's been the same over all these centuries, but I've always been here, which is such a sweet it's too little of a word. Such a profound feeling of safety and goodness. So he's then and now. He's always been here, but we're in this kind of a dark shadow of the valley. The Into the Shadow, Into the Valley of Death rode the 600 or something, that poem. I just realized that. He said, which sounds weird, but he said, play, have fun, knowing the cries will scare you, but living in each moment in a fervent strength through faith will lift you up above it. So there will be stress, there'll be suffering, there'll be cries, there'll be fear, but he said, living in that faith, you can rise above it and live in that knowing. And it takes practice. He didn't say that, but I'm saying that. It takes practice to remind yourself that, because our head takes over and the anxiety takes over, and then your heart starts racing and physically, and you can't stop thinking and you get fearful. So when you live in the knowing and you're sitting in your body and you're remembering and having faith and living in that feeling of I'm loved, everything's going to be okay eventually, and I'm safe, I'm right here, nothing's happening to me right now, and you keep practicing that every day. And he says, be well, my children, the goodness of God abounds. Meaning, I think what it means is there's abundance of that. So I took that as also the light overtakes the darkness. Again, the dark shadow of the valley. So the light is out there. It's in the sunset or sunrise, whatever it is. It seems more like a sunrise. I didn't see it as a sunset. Our democracy this is not what he's saying. Our democracy, I'm going to pull a card. The democracy that we know right now is going to change because the government will be cut to the bare bones. There'll be money allocated in ways that we didn't know would be, but also there'll be an openness, I see, for other things to get attended to that weren't, maybe. I know that sounds weird right now because it feels like they're just firing everybody. Okay. 3 of Wands. So there's they're working together with a business plan to correct what they perceive as the wrongs in the government. But it's also inspiration and ideas. The goodness of God abounds. Keep that in mind. We're just in the big shift. Pluto and Aquarius, again with the Hermit. So King Henry is here. He's got his ideas and he thinks, I'm by myself. I can figure this all out. You guys all listen to me, kind of thing. Although the Hermit is a very spiritual card. And he's guiding us. He's taking us to a new place. Maybe it is a new place we don't want to go. I don't know. All right. Let's leave the United States and go to the Middle East and see what King Francis wants to impose with the help of our Israeli leader, the ice cream cone, who reminded me when I got into his energy of like Pontius Pilate, all these ancient images, where I also saw in the past, many videos ago, where him also being cornered, like in an apartment complex or some sort of facility, like kind of like, what's his name? Gaddafi or other fugitives in the Middle East where they get cornered and they get put to death. I think Pontius Pilate took his own life, and I don't think that will happen, but maybe one of his military people might do that. But I do feel like he is the kind of that incarnation maybe of this new person of the present day. The ice cream cone, the melting ice cream cone, is taking over that whole, he's in cahoots with King Francis to take over that whole area next to the sea. And that strip. I don't think the other countries will allow it. It's illegal. I mean, I'll pull cards. I don't think King Francis will use his military might or his knights to take over. But what he might do, there's some confusion. There's stuff happening in the background that we may not know about. Will he do that? He's alone. It's going to be really, I'm seeing this tortoise. Normally, Nine of Pentacles is somebody alone who's got all the money in the world and it feels very secure and happy in their own garden. But this tortoise makes me think it's a non-starter, right? Yeah, here's our dutiful leader, the Emperor, with his big belly where he's knocking his chest. So they want to do that. And they're deciding how they're going to share the money. And I get the Sun. They want to do it. Let's see, does it really happen? King of Cups. Oh, yeah. See, I think of the beaver and the beaver dam. Chewing away, making his own home. They're going to sneaky. The feeling is I feel like they're going to sneakily do it. Somehow, King Francis gave a big announcement saying, this is a good idea, we're going to do it. But the ice cream cone, the melting ice cream cone, is going to use that as a guise to move into it. And they have some sort of plan. And I know the other countries in that area of the world, they have a plan. They have an idea. It's at the beginning stages. They're going to rebuild. Will it happen, though? Well, the other countries, no, they will not. Three of Swords. They're going to look at the death and destruction and no. And then they want it, though. They sure want that money. And they're going to fight. They're actually going to really fight. And they're going to work together to make that happen. They really, really are. Shoot. And I feel like there's some other things in that region that are going to assist them. Besides the Israel next door, there's some other countries. I know there's many. Was it Saudi Arabia? Was it Jordan, Lebanon? I don't know. Saying no, that's not happening. Egypt saying no. So that's not happening. But King Francis, it's just, maybe that's the side talk. Lots of money. Yeah, they have a relationship. And they're in love. These two. King Francis must like melting ice cream cones. It's slow. That they have a plan. They're working on it. The thing is I don't think it's going to work out. I think they're going to proceed to do it, but they will only get so far before the midterms. But I can see bulldozers. I see bulldozers. When I get into King Francis's energy, he's already done talking to the ice cream cone. He's already done talking to him. So, but people, there is something bad that's going to happen to the ice cream cone because of this. There's going to be some really big pushback from other countries, and he's going to get in a lot of trouble. So they're going to have to take it really slow. They have to come up with another strategy. Like not be loud about it, change the rules. That's how they get it. They change the rules. Like create your own church kind of thing, right? Get rid of Catholicism and make Church of England. Is that, you know what I mean? King Henry. Okay. Ugh, people, so much. All right, so I looked into the confirmation hearings for Chancellor Kennedy, RFK Jr., and I saw that there is some. I felt better about his Six of Pentacles. What that means is give and take. I get something, you get something. So what I'm hearing or what I'm sensing is that he agreed to some things for some of these senators. They met privately. So he said, oh yeah, I can do that. I'm going to do that as long as you give me this, approval, confirmation. And then this came out upside down, which none of my cards are upside down. So the Fool is coming out upside down. So this is a reckless card. Normally it's a leap of faith, but this is a reckless card. So it's like I see him jumping in and jumping into a bunch of razor blades and not understanding. I mean, he has awareness of things, but his brain doesn't work right because of the years of drug abuse and the parasitic worm and just degraded. His brain has gotten fried. So he thinks, he's done some research, but it's all conspiracy theories, He hasn't. So I think there will be some good things when it comes to nutrition, getting red food coloring out, which is fine. But the actual vaccination rates and that sort of thing, there's going to be some health concerns about children in the future. The problem is that he can do it now, but we won't see the result for probably years because these kids won't get vaccinations when they're a baby, and then they'll get sick later and there'll be an epidemic again, and then somebody else will be in power. Oh yeah, before I forget, I wanted to ask if King Francis will stay on the throne for a third term. It's the scariest thing of all, honestly. Okay, and then what I pulled when I talked to Gabbard, the Chancellor, this is the stinky card. She is not having an easy way of it. There's some pushback. Maybe it's 7 senators that will say no in the party of King Francis that say we can't have her but it looks like, I felt like Six of Cups, the Otters, going back, making things great again. It's funny, she was in the military, she was a Democrat, she was so funny how she flipped a switch and she went to the party of Francis. I'm going to put myself in the place of the senators, the Senate itself. I feel like the vice king or the deputy king, JD will have to play a role and put his finger on or thumb on the scale. Yeah, I think they're both going to get in. I didn't think so earlier because there was the 7 of Wands, which is about fighting and getting pushback, but maybe that's not enough to get her not voted in. And they'll have all the 3 of Swords, though, 8 of Pentacles, Page of Swords. They're going to work on some projects. There's going to be sadness. Huh. I feel like as a King Francis party person, they just feel like it's a no-brainer. Yes, I'm following along in this party. I'm in his team. I'm on his team. I'm in this kingdom. This is my kingdom, and I want to stay here, and I don't want to be kicked out. So I have to say yes, come what may. So yeah, I think that's going to happen. Yeah, the emperor. Hope I'm wrong, people. Hope I'm wrong. Last little bit. Okay. I talked about Christ, and I asked him again about that strip outside of Israel. And I forgot to mention this. He was sad because there's still strife. That's the word he used. He said, men always go to hate when they see no way out. He said, I am the truth and the way out. But they don't see that with him. They're stuck in tribal mentality is the feeling I get. I don't know what the words he would use, but they're stuck in old ways. They haven't learned the truth. They're old, what is the word? Superstitious kind of things. That's the word he's using. So it's not godly, even though they use God or Allah as their reasoning, or not Israel, but the others. The religions are made up of men who choose to divert them for hateful reasons because they know no way out. And again, I think I told you, I see the ice cream cone as like Pontius Pilate, who demands control. He's no different than him. And he has no guilt either. And he likes to watch the suffering, believe it or not. Sad. All right. You have any more spirit guides saying, they say, focus on the light, focus on the sunrise, focus on your ability to stay calm now. Focus on things that make you happy, that bring you joy. Those are still there. Just because all that other stuff is going on in the media you're being blitzed with, avoid the news, avoid it, but keep writing your senators, your representatives, and keep telling them how you feel. I even made a call. I made a call the other day to Andy Bigg's office. I didn't even know what to say. I was just ranting on the phone and I ended with shame on you, because how could you do this? I know he doesn't really care about me, but I just felt better doing it. So we have to keep doing that. We have to voice our opinions. It adds up. It's a tiny drop in the ocean, but it adds up, right? So keep doing that. Anyway, but stay focused on the good. The goodness of God is all around us, and that faith, and rise above it. And that sun is right out there. And we're going to get through this. It is going to be messy. But I do think ultimately we're going to be starting from scratch. That Pluto in Aquarius, which is for clearing out everything that doesn't work. Now it's being cleared out more than we expect. But that's the purpose of this time, right? We don't want to do it that way. But these people are here now to clean this out. And it's raw and wild, right? I hope it goes wild. That was the other thing King Francis said. It's raw and wild. Deep breaths. In, blow out with your mouth, in your nose. Blow out with your mouth, and calm breaths. It's going to be okay. All right, till next time. Take care, guys.